At the time of the making of this video, one of the biggest mysteries that still remain is Kashin Koji, not only as it pertains to his relationship with Boruto post TIMESKIP, but also what happened to him after his fight with Ishiki. We're 10 chapters in Boruto TBV VORTEX, yet we still know very little about Kashin Koji's motives as of now. We don't even know if he's still in communication with Amado. There's a lot of question marks surrounding him right now, so naturally, there's going to be a lot of speculation when talking about his role in the story, especially after his main goal of unaliving Ishiki was accomplished. So I guess we'll take it from the top. I make all these videos myself from start to finish, and they take a lot of time and work. So if you would be so kind to take the time out of your day to drop a quick like on the video, that would be much appreciated, as it does help the video get out to an even bigger audience. But besides that, let's get right into the video. So we all know the motives of Kashin Koji as far as part 1 goes. He was a clone of JURA made by Amado with the sole purpose of eliminating Ishiki OTSUTSUKI. As far as Koji knows, this objective was his only reason for existing. He was a former Kara inner, but for the most part, him and Amado was just playing along as being part of the Kora organization. They was mostly waiting for the right time to unalive Ishiki, and the right time was presented to him right after the fight between Naruto, Sasuke, and JUGAN. So think of them more like spies. When JUGAN was drained of his power enough that Koji and Amado thought they had a chance, they decided to make the move to attack JUGAN. But unfortunately, even in his weakened state, it just wasn't enough. When Ishiki emerged from JUGAN's body, it was completely over for Koji. Or as far as we thought it was over anyway, but he managed to escape from near death using one of his toes. But my question is, where did he go all this time? This right here is my first question to this little mystery, but for right now, let's just say he went into immediate hiding. First and foremost, to recuperate, and then apparently he probably did some research on the Ten Tails. So, okay, I know I just took a huge step ahead in time, so I'll just quickly explain how I came to this conclusion so there's no confusion. So I believe the time it took for Kashin Koji to fully recover from his injuries, Ishiki had already been defeated by Naruto and the others. Considering right after his battle with Koji, he immediately headed for Konoha to find Kawaki, and then not even 5 chapters later, Ishiki was defeated. But as we know from chapter 55, Code has fully accepted his role as Ishiki's successor, inheriting the will of the Otsutsuki. It would naturally make sense because everyone knew how much Code looked up to and respected Ishiki, even to the point that he would willingly nerf himself just to keep from challenging JUGAN's authority. Now that Ishiki was out of the way, Kashin Koji would still know about Code and about him being entrusted with the Ten Tails. I'm just assuming since Amado knew this information beforehand, that would also mean Koji had the same knowledge as well, you know, with them working together and everything. If this is the case, he would know that Code was holding the Ten Tails in another dimension. Even with Ishiki gone, that doesn't mean the planet is safe anymore. Because as Amado explained, as long as the Ten Tails continues to exist, the possibility of the Earth being wiped out by the Divine Tree is very, very high. So this issue must be dealt with as soon as possible. So when you look at it like this, Koji shifting his immediate focus from Ishiki to Code and the Ten Tails makes complete sense. I know I'm backtracking a little bit, but now as far as where Koji retreated after his fight with Ishiki, there's a few possibilities. He could have went straight to Mount Miyaboku. I mean, judging that he is a clone of Jiraiya with all his prior abilities and knowledge, he 100% knows about it and knows how to get there. And is somewhere more closed off, meaning it would have been pretty safe for him to recover from battle. But that's just one possibility. He could have just went somewhere secluded or something, somewhere far away from the area he was at. This probably isn't as important because Ishiki wasn't even concerned with him after the fight, mostly because he just didn't have the time. The most important thing is where he went after he recovered and Ishiki was defeated. And if you ask me, I think we may have our answer, or something close to it. In chapter 9, there was a panel that shows Boruto and Kashin Koji at what it looks like to be Orochimaru's hideout. Well, to sound more confident, we all know for a fact that this is Orochimaru's hideout, just from looking at the snake-like candle things on the wall. When we first seen this, everyone was thinking maybe Sasuke took Boruto to see Orochimaru, perhaps about the omnipotence situation. But thinking about it for a bit longer, I do think Kashin Koji meeting with Orochimaru or them finding each other is a bit more likely. Koji being a clone of Jiraiya and Orochimaru catching on to that, as well as Koji having knowledge on Orochimaru and his experiments, it's not unlikely he won't go to him for some answers, or even help regarding something about the current situation. Now, I feel like this may be a good time to discuss where Boruto kind of comes in all of this. It's probably safe to assume Kashin Koji met up with Boruto sometime after Sasuke turned into a tree. Through seeing what happened to Sasuke and what Koji told Boruto, he then learned exactly how dangerous Code and the Ten Tails was. But even knowing this information isn't even scratching the tip of the iceberg. Because even when we talk about Koji and Boruto and how they know about the potential threat of the Ten Tails, there's still the matter of how did Boruto know about the evolution of the claw grimes into the Shinju? And on a much lesser scale, when it comes to importance, did Koji train Boruto, more specifically in the art of Senjutsu? Or maybe helped him develop the strongest and most broken Rasengan we have ever seen in the Naruto series, the UZUHIKO. There's also the whole thing about Boruto and him having extra knowledge on omnipotence and how it works. But honestly, besides Koji telling him about that, I think that particular knowledge came straight from Momoshiki. So I guess we'll start with the Shinju, since that seems to be the most important matter in the story as of right now. I question Boruto and Koji's knowledge about the Shinju because of their encounter with Code. Throughout Boruto and Code's conversation, Boruto seemed like he was always one step ahead of Code. He knew things about Code's own creations that even he didn't even know about. But what really got me interested is chapter 4 when Boruto said, "It's too late," when referring to the emergence of the Shinju. It's almost like they knew this exact thing would happen. Now regarding where and how this knowledge was acquired is still unknown. We have a few theories out there, like Boruto being able to glance into the future using Momoshiki's foresight ability. I mean, if you want to hear me deep dive into that, then tap the video in the top right hand corner. But the fact of the matter is, before Sasuke got absorbed by the Ten Tails, it looks like Boruto wasn't so worried about the threat of the Ten Tails. I mean, he was still worried about it, but it wasn't a primary concern. Because I'm pretty sure he knew about the Ten Tails because Sasuke was the one that seen it firsthand. So I'm pretty sure Sasuke would of course bring it up at some point. But the urgency before Sasuke got absorbed and after is still very glaring. So it had to be something Koji did or told him that definitely caught Boruto's attention. Now, regarding their relationship to Orochimaru, they could possibly be using him as a researcher. And what I mean by that is just having him share his extensive knowledge on different forms of power throughout the verse. I'm not counting out the possibility of Orochimaru having information about Shinjutsu, especially when basically his whole life revolves around the deep studies of jutsu and forbidden techniques. But what would make more sense right now is Orochimaru being the scientist that studies the Ten Tails to gauge just how much of an immediate threat it is. Kashin Koji would be how Boruto found out about the Ten Tails, and of course how much of a threat that it is, and Orochimaru could be how they both found out about the evolution of the claw grimes, and most likely about the phenomena that occurs when a person gets absorbed by the Ten Tails. Since it happened to Sasuke, I feel like Orochimaru would be obliged to help out in some way. Either way you look at it, Orochimaru is definitely in the mix when it comes to the knowledge Boruto has about the Ten Tails and the Divine Tree. Kashin Koji and Boruto play more as the enforcers, with Boruto being the one who takes on most of the combat and more direct matters, and Koji being his informant who gives him advice on what moves to make next, as well as support him indirectly, whether it's giving him a way to follow Code to the Ten Tails dimension, or keeping tabs on immediate threats like Code or the Shinju, and informing him on their whereabouts. But other than an informant, is Kashin Koji also another sensei slash mentor for Boruto? At the end of chapter 3, there was some speculation that Boruto now had the ability to summon toads, but later on learned it was indeed one of Koji's toads. So that theory unfortunately died down. But what didn't die down is the possibility of Koji having something to do with how Boruto knows how to perform the UZUHIKO. Until UZUHIKO is shown again, I don't think we'll learn anything new about it. But for what I can say right now is between Sasuke and Koji, the one most likely to have helped Boruto develop such a technique is of course Koji. who's definitely more in touch with Boruto's wind style affinity than Sasuke would be. And of course, the same goes for Sasuke with Boruto's lightning style affinity. This is why the idea of Boruto having 2 masters instead of just 1 was just so genius. But for Boruto to be able to manipulate the Earth's gravitational force to this degree, it has me thinking of just what is the true nature of the UZUHIKO, because it's just so bizarre to think Koji has the capability to teach such a technique to Boruto. However, today the official Naruto website decided to help me out on this video a little bit. So the website added a database for Boruto's flying RAIJIN technique. At first they just explained what we already knew about the technique. The flying RAIJIN, a technique that Minato was famous for, which allows users to teleport to specific locations that has been previously marked. But what's interesting about this is, right after they said that, they confirmed Kashin Koji indeed assisted Boruto in developing his own variant of the flying RAIJIN, which could technically be considered a whole separate jutsu, because compared to Minato's, Boruto's has more limitations. They didn't specify what those limitations actually are, but it does make sense, because Boruto did state he wasn't as good at the technique as his grandfather. So this right here actually confirms Koji had some involvement with some of Boruto's techniques. So perhaps he actually did have something to do with the UZUHIKO. We still don't know everything Boruto learned throughout the time skip, and as well as everything Koji helped Boruto with. But what I know he can and should probably teach Boruto, besides the flying RAIJIN and maybe the UZUHIKO, is how to perform Sage Jutsu, and for obvious reasons too. The Shinju is literally the Ten Tails, and what is the Ten Tails' known weakness? It's of course nature energy. I won't dive too deep into this matter because I have a video with almost 30,000 views where I go in depth about the importance of Boruto mastering Senjutsu and what could possibly happen in the future if he does master this ability, and as well as what it means for him going forward. So if you're interested in learning more about that, then click the video in the top right corner. But as it pertains to this video alone, I only want to highlight the importance of having Sage Jutsu because of the Ten Tails alone. But of course there are many other benefits as well, which I mentioned in my Boruto Sage Mode video. So now that we went over all that, what is Boruto and Kashin Koji's plan now? How will they stop the evolution of the Ten Tails and destroy it once and for all? Of course now, the problem is way beyond what they imagined. The original plan was to have Code guide them to the Ten Tails location and simply have Boruto destroy it. But now things are way more complicated. Since the Shinju exist as one single entity, they have to destroy every one of them before they fully evolve into a divine tree. And if they don't, the planet simply dies. You have the Ten Tails split up into 4 pieces, and you don't know when the evolution process concludes. From Boruto's movements ever since he came back into the village, it looks like his main concerns lies with trying to get the power of Konoha on his side, as well as form alliances such as with Shikamaru to get certain intel on what's going on around the village and who's doing what, from revealing the truth to Mitsuki, as well as explaining omnipotence to Shikamaru and trying to reason with Kawaki to have him work together to defeat the Shinju. It definitely looks like, or appears to look like, Boruto is trying to work his way back into Konoha, but not because he wants his old life back or anything. He simply needs all the help he can get, because this matter is bigger than anything else going on in Konoha. So it makes sense that Boruto and Koji's plan right now is just to gather allies through whoever it may be, because we've seen from chapter 4 they can't fight all of the Shinju by themselves. So obviously having the necessary resources to be able to fight the Shinju off properly would be the top priority as of now. And on top of that, having more allies in the battle allows Boruto to fight the Shinju on more fair terms, and honestly, significantly raises their probability of success. Now, I'm more concerned on what you guys think about Boruto's new alliance with Kashin Koji. Is this something we shouldn't look too deep into, or is there a way deeper meaning behind it? What do you think Koji's role in the story is now compared to part 1? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section, and as well as any other secret or unexpected relationships you think Boruto has other than Koji. Like always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified whenever I upload or go live for the new chapter leaks. And until my next video, I'm out. Peace.